If you're thinking of becoming a house sitter and you're not sure where to start, this video will run through an easy 10-step process to get you set up. I'm Lisa from Australian travel and migration blog dreamingofdownunder.com. I've been house sitting since 2015 and I'm a full-time house sitter without my own place. I've used 4 different house sitting websites as well, so I've got lots of experience. I've got lots and lots of guides on my blog about house sitting for both house sitters and homeowners, so head to dreamingofdownunder.com and just click on the house sitting section on the menu to look through them. I've got a blog post on how to become a house sitter too, so I'll link to that below, as well as links to my favourite house sitting websites. It's really important to join a website to start getting business. I've got a 20% discount for trusted house sitters of an annual membership. They're a really long-running, popular site. They operate in over 130 countries, so it's great if you want to house sit in lots of different countries, and they've got lots of perks available that most sites don't have, so things like house sit cancellation insurance if someone backs out on you, and free video calls with vets 24/7. I've also got a free instructions template that you can print out and give to the homeowner to fill out with your instructions, so that can make you look quite professional if you have that ready to give to the owner at a meet and greet, or you can email it to them. I'll leave the link below. You also get a free email course from me, so it's just a sequence of emails with all my top tips walking you through how to become a successful house sitter, as well as how to not get taken advantage of, so sign up to that below. The first thing you need to think about is whether house sitting is really the right option for you. So even though it's called house sitting, it is usually house and pet sitting. House sitting is normally for the purpose of looking after somebody's pets while they're on holiday. So you live in their home and look after their pets and the house. So you really do need to be an animal lover. I don't know if some countries might have house sitters not for the purpose of pets, but generally it is for pets. So you need to be confident with animals, not be scared. You need to genuinely like animals and want to look after them. If the owners come home and you haven't really bonded with the pets, they generally can tell. Pets get quite anxious if they're with somebody who doesn't know how to bond with them, so it might not sound like a big deal, but you will get really good reviews if you are comfortable with animals and the animal is really happy when the pet owner gets home. Also, you need to be responsible. They need to come back to a tidy, preferably clean home, so it shouldn't be house sitting for the purpose of having parties or anything like that, because the neighbours will tell on you, honestly. You need to be responsible enough to feed the pets, walk dogs at certain times, to be home every night with them. You can go out in the day, obviously, but you do need to sleep in the property overnight. You need to look after the home. There shouldn't be too much home maintenance. It's generally just plant watering and mail. You might be asked to scoop the leaves in a pool or something like that, but you do need to be responsible enough to keep the home in good order, keep it locked up, not set fire to it, that kind of thing. Step number 2 is to choose a house sitting website to join. So the way that you find house sits is to join a website. There are lots and lots of these, and what happens is you join as a sitter, you set up a profile, you have a photo, you have a bio that you write. You can normally select certain things, so like if you're happy to house it in certain countries, certain areas, that kind of thing, you can set kind of filters on some of them. And then owners, they either put an advert on, which is common on some websites, not all of them, or they kind of look through sitters and contact you directly. So it's really important to get onto a popular house sitting website. So for me, I started house sitting in Australia. I was doing a big road trip, and because I only wanted to house sit in Australia, I wasn't going anywhere else, I joined AUSSIE House Sitters, which is the biggest house sitting website in the country, and that was great. I found sits in Perth. I was based in Perth at the time, and I managed to get to immediately, actually, even with no references, because they were about 40 minutes outside of the city centre. They didn't really have any other applicants, so you'd think it would be really competitive, but if you're not too picky, particularly in the beginning when you don't have any reviews or anything, you shouldn't really have a problem finding house sits. So I scored 2 really nice houses, really easy pets. One was 3 cats, one was a puppy. Really lovely house, lovely owners, so that was really easy to get started with. Then I house sat on a road trip across Australia. When I got to Sydney, I decided to carry on house sitting because it's so in demand. I didn't want to pay Sydney rent. So I also joined Happy House Sitters. That was okay. I preferred the AUSSIE House Sitters website, it's a lot easier to use, but I managed to house sit full-time through them. I then transitioned to paid house sitting through a site called MadPause. So how it works is you've got paid house sitting where the sitters get paid, and unpaid where they just house sit for accommodation. So as a general rule of thumb, there are special websites for house sitters that want to get paid, and you advertise your rates on there, and the company kind of takes the money and they insure you and they handle the money side. But they only work for local people who are in one area, because you have to put your suburb in and then local owners will find you. So if you wanted to travel Australia or different countries, they don't work, and obviously you need to have working rights to be earning. So that's really for people who want to start a local house sitting business. If you were house sitting for travel purposes, there are lots and lots of websites where you look after the pets and the home, and in return you get free accommodation. So because you're saving on the big travel accommodation fees, that's generally a fair swap. So also Trusted House Sitters, as I said, is a really good one if you want to house sit outside of Australia, because they've got lots and lots of countries, and I know quite a few people who've done long trips with them and just got loads and loads of house sits. One of my friends got house sits all the way up the east coast of Australia through them for a road trip. Unfortunately COVID happened, so it got cancelled, but yeah, they're pretty highly recommended. So what you need to think about with a website when you're choosing, you need it to be big enough that there are obviously enough house sitting like jobs to choose from, but also you can't see this on there, but like the ratio of sitters to owners is important. So even if a site is, you know, the biggest site in the country or the world or whatever, it might have so many sitters that it's very, very competitive to get jobs. So that's not really something you can see, but just don't think that like because something is the biggest site, that's going to be the best for you. You can still get jobs on the smaller sites, but there are lots to choose from. Step number 3, once you've chosen a website and you've joined, you'll then need to set up a profile. When you're writing your bio, think about all the qualities that a homeowner would be looking for in a pet sitter. So obviously saying that you love animals is great. Any experience you've had, if you've ever house sat before, mention that. If you grew up with pets, mention that. If you've looked after friends' pets or walked dogs or anything to do with animals really, definitely write that down. If you are responsible, you should be saying that you are anyway. Like being clean and tidy, respectful of people's homes, just all the things that they would want to look for. Write those positive qualities down. Maybe write down what profession you do, particularly if this makes you sound responsible. You'll also need to add a photo, so definitely one where you are not partying or drinking. This just is not going to be attractive to a homeowner. If you can get a picture with an animal in next to you, that's really, really good. Bonus points for that. Make sure you're smiling, not wearing sunglasses, just looking friendly, approachable and sensible. Number 4 is get references and a police check. So some house sitting sites will ask you to get a police check, or you can kind of upload one so that they know, and they'll give you like a little badge for your profile or something. Even if they don't, it is a good selling point to write in your profile that you've got a police check. I have to say, virtually nobody asks for this. I had maybe 1 or 2 people in 7 years ask to see that. So it was, I mean, they're not expensive. I can't remember how much mine was now, under $100, probably under $50. But it is a really good selling point if you don't have any reviews yet. Also, some sites will let you upload a reference if you don't have any reviews yet. So if you have a kind of sensible friend who can write a good reference for you, that would be great. Also, you could kind of write in your profile, you know, I have a reference. If you'd like to see that, you can always forward it to somebody. I got one ready. I don't think I ever actually needed it or was asked for it, but it is good to have one. And something I did, if you are allowed to have multiple photos, I took screenshots of some reviews from previous websites I'd used, like when I started new websites, and I uploaded those so people would look on my profile and they would see them. Number 5 is to set up notifications and alerts. If the site lets you set up alerts for when any new house sit jobs come on that fit your criteria, so you might have selected that you will house sit in certain regions of Australia, for example, you might have set a minimum length of house sit that you will accept. Some sites like Aussie House Sitters have lots and lots of criteria that you can specify. And some of them will let you set up notifications, so if a new one comes on, it will be sent straight to you. And it is important to apply to them quickly because they can be really competitive. Number 6 is to look through the adverts for house sitters. So on the site you're on, particularly the ones where you don't get paid that are for travellers, normally the homeowners will put up an advert. Some of them, they can contact you without them putting up an advert, but most of them not have adverts. So just start looking through them, get familiar. What I found was when people found a house sitter, they didn't take their adverts down, so I found that anything that had been on longer than a few days was generally not available anymore, and it was actually a bit of a pain. So I basically only really applied for ones that had just gone on, unless it was like if it's a really kind of rural or out of the way area, sometimes they can be harder for the owners to fill, but just start looking through those adverts. And also when it comes to applying for them, don't think that you can't apply for 2 because they have clashing dates. Obviously you can't take 2 that have clashing dates, but don't put all your eggs in one basket like until you've got a confirmed house sit. Don't worry, just apply for multiple house sits. When you're reading through them, make sure you read them carefully and look at any criteria that that person has put on. So it might be that they need, you know, a strong person because they've got big dogs that pull on the lead. It might be that they are in a rural area and you'll need a car. It might be that they will let you use their car. There could be like things that don't really fit you. So make sure you read the details of the advert. Step number 7 is to apply for some of those jobs. So normally what happens is you can contact the owner through the website that you're using and send them a message saying why you're interested in the job. So what I would think of is that potentially that owner might be getting lots and lots of messages. So I tended to keep mine short, not too short. Don't just say, hi, I want the job or anything silly like that. But maybe like a few sentences. I wouldn't write an absolutely massive essay on why you want to stay at their house. So what I always made sure I did, and I was pretty successful from the start, just make sure you tailor your message to that person and to their situation. Don't just like copy and paste a random, like a generic message. So if you can name the pets, if they put the names of their pets, say, hi, I would love to look after Bobo and Fluffy, they look really cute. I've got experience with those kinds of dogs, that kind of thing, or, you know, I've got lots of experience with dogs. You know, I'm clean and tidy and responsible, and I always, you know, look after people's homes, as well as the animals. If they've listed any task they want done specifically, you know, pool cleaning, or they want you to water plants, mention that. Say, I'm happy to water your plants for you as well. If you've got a police check or references, mention that. And if you are in their area or city, then offer to travel to their home to meet them, because that's the standard procedure if you're not far away. So say, I'm available to come and meet you, and then just finish off by saying, please feel free to take a look at my profile and contact me if you're interested. Just make sure that you focus on the animals, because I remember the very first job I got, it was in Rockingham, about 40 minutes outside of Perth. And the lady said that they only had one other applicant, but he didn't mention the pets at all. He just talked about his property management experience. So people, yes, it's house sitting, but they're not looking for a full-time property manager. They just want someone to take care of their pets. For most people, the house comes second to the animals. Number 8 is to attend a meet and greet if you can. If you're not in the local area, then offer to kind of call them or have a video call or something, but it is normal to kind of meet the owners and the pets in some way before you arrange and agree to the house sit. So if it's a local person, arrange to go over to their home and meet them and the pets. And what normally happens is, obviously you meet the pets, so when you do that, make sure that you kind of approach the pets, stroke them or whatever, if it's a cat or dog. There are certain ways to do this. If you're not that familiar with animals, never approach an animal by like shoving your hand at their face, because think about if a giant hand came towards your face, you'd flinch away. It kind of just shows that you're not experienced with animals. So dogs and cats, back of your hand, let them smell it. They'll then be like, yeah, okay, and then they'll probably offer you like an ear to scratch or something. So let them sniff your hand, give them a little pat. I mean, if they're not friendly, then the owners will normally say, like, you know, they don't like being fussed or whatever. But make sure you show attention to the animals and give them a little stroke and talk to them a little bit. Then what normally happens is the owners will run through all the things that they would like you to do. So they'll show you where the food's kept, what the pets eat, what the routine is, how often they go for walks. They'll show you the lead, they'll show you around the house, so you'll see which room you'll be staying in. They might show you how electrical things work if it's like not too far away from the house sit. It's not really much point doing that if it's months and months before. But they'll just generally go over everything, and it's really just to meet each other and make sure that you're comfortable with each other and you're comfortable with the job. So you really just need to come across as someone kind of warm and friendly and trustworthy, and to put that person at ease. They might ask if you've got any questions, so it's always good to have some lined up just to show that you kind of a little bit experienced and you're thinking about things that might happen. So a good one is always to say, have the pets got any medical conditions? Will they need any medication? You could ask where the pets sleep. You could ask like what happens if you go out. Do you leave a back door open for them, or are they closed in? Although don't make it sound like you're kind of never going to be home. Ask them if they know what time they'll be leaving or coming back. Some people leave really early and might hide a key outside for you, or they might like to see you before they set off. So what I found when you're doing house sits that you're not paid for, there is a much bigger ratio of sitters to owners, because you've got all the travellers trying to get the free travel accommodation. So I found on those kind of websites, people might be having meet and greets with multiple sitters, not always, but sometimes. So they might offer you the job there and then. They might say, oh, we arranged to meet a couple of other people, so we'll let you know. What I found was if I was the first person they saw, they would generally give me the job, because people don't really want to waste time meeting lots and lots of people. If they like the first person they'll see, they'll probably go with you. So if possible, really try and get in there quickly and be the first person that the owners meet. If they don't get back to you with a response and it's been, you know, a few days or it's heading towards a week, definitely chase them up, because some people unfortunately will accept another sitter and won't bother to tell you, or maybe they feel a bit uncomfortable. So don't worry about chasing them up. Number 9 is to confirm the house sit details with the owner. So once it gets a bit close to the date, make sure you know what time they're setting off, what time they'll be back on the last day. Are you going to get there before they leave? Are they going to hide a key somewhere for you? So just make sure that all the logistics are sorted. So the owner should always be leaving you some instructions for what to do when you're there. So even though you've been through the meet and greet, you know, it can be hard to kind of memorize everything they're saying, particularly if you're doing lots of house sits in different places. So they should always write out instructions for you. Number 10 is to head over there and start that house sit. So just make sure that you take good care of the property before you leave. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a mess while you're there, it's just you there. But before you leave, make sure that you put everything back where you found it. If you are moving furniture or anything major, like take a photo so you can put it back right. Give the house a clean. I mean, it depends how long you've lived there. If it's a short house sit, I mean, you don't do like a full clean. I never clean rooms that I haven't used. I wouldn't clean all the bedrooms. But definitely wipe over the kitchen surfaces, wipe the sinks get dirty really quickly. Quick vacuum, make sure you haven't got like food all over the dining table or anything. The bathroom, it depends how long you've been there. I mean, if the sink looks dusty, give it a clean. If you've been somewhere weeks and weeks, obviously you're going to want to clean anyway, so clean the toilet and all that. And just vacuum. I generally don't mop unless the dogs have brought in loads of mud or something. I don't really go that far, but just make it look nice. So clean kitchen surfaces, clean bathroom. In terms of the garden, it's not a house sitter's job to do gardening. They might ask you to water plants. I've found on the unpaid house sits, it's more of your job to look after the property, because your pay is staying in the property. But that would really only extend to maybe scooping leaves from a pool, possibly sweeping leaves from a patio, but it's really rare. Things like mowing lawns or gardening, that's not your responsibility as a pet sitter. If I've slept in the owner's bed, particularly if they're maybe getting back late at night, I will throw the sheets in the wash. Yeah, if they're back late and I'm home all day, then I might like wash the sheets and put them back on and just tell them they're clean. Or sometimes I'll just kind of strip the bed and leave them in a pile. Yeah, if I'm in a spare room, I don't normally do that though. And then once it's finished as well, make sure you chase up the owner for a reference. So with most of these house sitting websites now, the owners can leave reviews. It used to be very different when I started in 2015. It wasn't the thing to leave reviews. You could actually choose whether you showed a review or not. It was yeah, not like it is now. Now they seem to all have like independent review systems. On some of them, like Aussie house sitters, you can actually review the owner as well, which is really good because staying in a stranger's home is, you know, kind of a big risk for a sitter, but make sure that you do chase them to put a review on for you. If you're using one of the paid house sitting websites like MadPaws, like I use, what happens is at the end of the job, the owner has to like click to confirm the end of the booking, and the site will then release the money to you. So if they haven't done that, they might be new to the site and not realise, then you can chase them up, but it usually gets released within a week if the owner forgets to do that. I seem to have lost the clip with the end of the video on, or maybe I forgot to film an ending, I don't know. Anyway, here I am in the future on a new house sit in Sydney, a lovely one for 3 weeks with a nice swimming pool, as you can see. Thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful. Best of luck if you're planning on becoming a house sitter. Make sure you check out my blog, dreamingofdownunder.com. I've got lots and lots of guides for both house sitters and home owners as well. And please like and subscribe for more videos on life, travel and house sitting in Australia.